Hello everyone and welcome back to Beeherenow. Today I'm somewhere very special indeed. Not many people come down here. And where am I? Well, I'm in Liverpool because something was happening at the start of the 19th century that was going to revolutionise not just transport around the world, but revolutionise the Industrial Revolution itself, revolutionise the economy. And it started here. Now, I've just come from that way, but the place I'm going to is right down there. Because in 1830, that was the start line for something absolutely amazing. Hello everyone and welcome back to Beeherenow. Now in this video I want to look at one of the most famous chapters in Northern history. So famous in fact that it's still taught in schools today all around the world. This is the story of the world's first intercity railway, the Liverpool-Manchester Railway in 1830. So why was it built? Well, at the start of the 19th century, Manchester was an up-and-coming economic boom town. It was one of the world's leading producers of textiles, quickly becoming the #1 producer of textiles. But all that cotton, mostly it was cotton, was coming in from the plantations of the United States, Brazil and India. And it was coming into Britain mostly at the port of Liverpool, which is 30 odd miles away from Manchester. Now there was a road between the two cities, what is today the A57, but that was, back in those days, it was rubbish. It was very poorly surfaced, it could only carry so much traffic, and there was a high toll on it. There were canals between the two cities, but none of them were very direct, they were slow, and of course there were tolls on them as well. So business leaders in Manchester and Liverpool got together and decided to petition for a railway line joining the cities together. The 25-mile-long Stockton and Darlington Railway opened in 1825, partly used steam-powered vehicles to haul coal, but relied on horses to pull passenger carriages. Still, it was a success, and the engineer behind it, George Stephenson, was invited to work on the Liverpool to Manchester proposal. And so, on the 15th of September 1830, everything was ready, and the ceremonious inaugural journey was taken. Starting in Liverpool, it headed east all the way to Manchester. So in the next 3 videos, I'm going to be following the route of that first ever passenger locomotive, from one city to the other, seeing the problems they came up against, the amazing feats of engineering they came up with to get around those problems, but most of all, just to see what's left of it today. How much of the world's first intercity passenger railway still exists. And that's why I'm starting here off Crown Street in Liverpool, because this was where they decided the first terminus should be in Liverpool. Now today you can see it's a park, a public park, but in 1830 this was the site of the world's first passenger station on an intercity line. The Crown Street site was on the outskirts of Liverpool town, as it was back in the early 1800s. Now the yellow box here is roughly where the first station was located, illustrated here. And the line would have immediately entered a tunnel and headed downhill, popping out over here at somewhere called Edge Hill Cutting. Now this was a deep cutting blasted through the sandstone and the heart of the entire operation. Okay, so now I'm down where the tunnels are, and as you can see, this is an absolutely amazing place. It's just jam-packed with history every direction you look. It's like I actually not sure where to start talking. So start with this one, the Northern Tunnel. This is the original 1929 tunnel, which led on an incline up to Crown Street station. And what had happened is the steam trains would be decoupled from the carriages here, where I'm stood now, and then hauled up. The carriages would be hauled up the incline to the station using a cable, where they'd unload and load passengers, and then gravity would bring it gently down back to here, where the steam trains would then take it onwards. This middle one, the biggest one, this is Wapping Tunnel, and it is Wapping as well. And that was built by Stevenson to take goods all the way to Liverpool docks. If you believe this is 2 kilometres long, or just over a mile and a half, is that a mile and a little bit, to Liverpool docks. And it's the first tunnel in the world to be bored under a metropolis, anywhere in the world. That one there, Wapping Tunnel. And it's almost as straight as an arrow, and you can go through it, maybe for another day for me. But absolutely, that was Stevenson's way of linking up this railway line which he built with the docks, where there would be actual economic use, not just passengers, but he could actually make this part of the industrial demand of the area. So ingenious. And that chimney we saw before in Crown Street Park, that is above Wapping Tunnel. A ventilation shaft above the tunnel, and there's quite a few along the route. So this third tunnel, the South Tunnel, was added a little bit later on, mostly for a bit of symmetry with the other two tunnels, but it was used, and it doesn't go very far, as you can see. It just pops out over there, and then it's a dead end, and it was pretty much like that for a long time in its history. It was kind of a dead end stopping point, but it was extended later on to allow goods traffic to incline and bend round into Crown Street station, so not completely useless. It does look like you can go through there, you can go through there, but at the other end it's just a dead end, and it's fenced off. There's 2 layers of palisade steel fences around there, so a bit pointless. Now, of course, what is also fantastic about this place is that the rails are still here. Now, the rails are still here on this third tunnel, the dead tunnels, I like to call it, even though it's not. It's really the only one alive still, actually. It's because this is still used by Network Rail as a kind of shunting, a kind of turning point, you know what I mean? It's still used, it still has a use for trains, but very, very rarely, I hope, anyway, because I'm stood on a railway line that's still technically used. But yes, as you can see, this is a good way of seeing the cutting. So these rail lines, you can see the absolute the depth of the cutting here, and this was a massive engineering project, as much as Wapping Tunnel, as much as the Sankey Viaduct later on. This cutting through Liverpool was a massive engineering project, and it took a very, very long time and a great deal of engineering know-how. What do I talk about next? Okay, typical of the period, there was a huge ostentatious archway here, known as the Moorish Arch, and it was really built to show off as like a showpiece for the development of the area. But Stevenson cleverly used it to house 2 engines, which wound the cables for the tunnels, for the inclines. So he put it to actually a good physical purpose. Now, there's nothing left of it, of course. You can see it would have been there, but it's not. The only trace of it remaining, I think, are these steps going up here on the left hand side there. It's all overgrown where the greenness is. I think they would have gone up to the engine room or something like that. I'm not absolutely sure about that. But yeah, beautiful. You can see the steps there, and then amazing that they've survived. I've naturally been inclined to go up there, but no pun intended. But I'm not going to, because it's a bit too risky. Yeah, there's so much more to see. Let's have a look. Okay, so down here, under the arch and along the sides, you can see there's loads of little cuttings. There's loads of tunnel, well, little cuttings carved out, and they're quite big. They go quite a fair bit back. Now this is where the engine houses would have been, and the stores of coke or coal to, you know, power the steam train. So let's go have a nosy in these, shall we? Right, sorry for the low lighting. I didn't bring a light with me. I didn't really expect to be going anywhere dark at the moment. But I don't know if you can see this or me, but there's a huge chute down here. I presume this is a coal chute. Somebody dropping coal in up there and it comes down here. So yeah, and there's another one over on the other side there. I'm not sure if that is a coal chute. That might be an access tunnel. So yeah, let's have a nosy, shall we? Okay, so it doesn't come out on camera, but that actually goes through, I think, to the next chamber along. That one is just pitch black, can't see anything up there. And that, which looks like a chimney or, you know, something like that, it's not. It's just a little cutting out like that. But who knows? I wish I knew exactly what these things were. But yeah, absolutely amazing. You can see up there where the brick meets the bedrock of the cutting. And yeah. Wow, let's move on. Now, without knowing really what I'm looking at, it's very difficult to say what was in each of these little chambers. There was, I mean, there's kind of cuttings in here into the wall, but again, was that where a boiler was being held? I don't know, there's no seeming outlet for a boiler. Anyway, these roots coming down after all these years. Tree roots, I presume, quite high up. But yeah. Right, so if you look there, you can see the red sandstone that's been cut through, which is what this cutting is. It's been cut through red sandstone, and you can see the beautiful straight lines that have been cut through it. It's not a rushed job. This is, you know, a very pretty. A lot of effort has gone into cutting this out and making it look nice. Because this area, it wouldn't have just been for it would have been a bit of a showpiece. There would have been people, especially when it opened up in 1830, this would have been open to people to come and have a look and see things. And on the bridge up there and on the bridge up here, there would have been a lot of public interest in what was going on down here, so it had to look very nice and very appealing, and it still does 200 years later. I mean, to be honest, I do a lot of videos and that, but this actually feels like I've gone back in time. It feels like a real privilege just to be stood here and looking at this. I mean, this is history. This is a massive part of human history. This entire cutting, everything around here, this is the start of steam railways, but not only that, the industrialisation of it. I love it. Right, so I'm actually thinking the ones further down there that went in before with the little windows and that, I think that might have been the stables, or at least where the horses were taken care of. Maybe the food was kept in there. I actually think these two, and there's two across the other side over there, I think these two might have been where the boilers were, just because they're so big. You know, if you're going to have a boiler, you're going to need it in a big room, and they're both linked up. And there's a lot of effort gone into these two. Yeah, I think the boilers must have come in here. But yeah, so the arch, the Moorish Arch, was here. Obviously, them bricks are new. But yeah, and it would have gone all the way over to the other side. Again, there's a couple of tunnels further down, with lots of these little bits cut out of the wall as well. I presume these smaller ones are where timber went in there, or maybe steel fittings. Maybe there was some sort of wooden roof popping out of it. I don't know, maybe not. There's a tunnel up there, I can't actually see that. Look at those straight lines in the sandstone there. I mean, even geologically this place is cool. But yeah, look at that, stripes. So after just 6 years, the passenger station at Crown Street was proving too popular, and it was too far from the city centre of Liverpool. So they closed it to passengers and built a new line further north that cut through to Liverpool Street station, which was built in 1836, just 6 years after this one. So Crown Street station was used for a goods depot, which meant that it was expanded. And what they did, they widened the cut in here. Which is why the Moorish Arch isn't there anymore, because they had to widen the cutting and knock the arch down. And that's also the point in which this third tunnel was used to take on a bit of a bend goods wagons up to Crown Street station. So a bit of a turning point in the history of Crown Street there. Now, of course, what's amazing is this entire area, this cut in here, would have been chock-a-block full of engineers and steam engines and goods wagons and horses. It would have just been busy in the 1830s and the decades after that as well. Edge Street station is not too far away, it's about a quarter of a mile away, if that, and that became more and more important when Crown Street closed. So yeah, I mean, this is quiet as a mouse now. It's a dead part of the city, which is a shame, but this would have been the loudest part of Liverpool at one point. It's just unbelievable. Right, I think it's time for me to leave this place, and I'm genuinely quite sad about it. This is one of the most exciting places I've been, period. It's just, this is a landmark in human history and it set the standard for industrialisation and steam railway infrastructure for all over the world, with horses, with coals, with engines, with boilers. This is where it started, ground zero of the railway age. Alas, it's time to go though, because in the next video we're going to be looking at the method. We're going to actually be looking at the steam trains, because unfortunately, or rather fortunately, you can't get goods or passengers from here all the way to Manchester using just horses and cables. So in the next video I'll be looking at some of the ideas they came up with regarding steam locomotion. So join me then. Thanks for watching, and if I get out of here alright, I'll see you next time.